Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the MTech Virtual Summit. This session is all about Dynamics 365 Business Central. So just in terms of a little bit in terms of the content for this session, the agenda will be as follows. So I'm just going to go through really setting the scene really initially about Business Central. So, there's a lot of talk about Business Central. There's a lot of stuff online around Business Central, and my part of the presentation is to talk you through what actually Business Central is, where it's come from, a little bit about the sort of global progress of Business Central. We'll then look at kind of some of the interactions with some of the rest of the Microsoft Office suite, things like the Power Platform. And then really what I want to do is bring it into a little bit of context in terms of Business Central with m-hance and how we can kind of help you guys deploy Business Central and migrate from some of the tools that we already support, such as Dynamics GP. And then at the end of my session, just a little bit about what our existing customers that we've deployed to Business Central have had to say. And then I'm going to be passing over to my colleague, Adam Carey, who's going to be taking you through a bit of a product demonstration. So you hopefully get to understand a bit more about the product and get to see some cool features as well. So that's really the aim for this session. So a little bit on an intro side. So my name's Matt. I'm the account director here at m-hance. I look after our account management team. And I also look after a number of our customers, mainly around the London area and quite a few in our not-for-profit sector. I'm joined today, as I mentioned, by Adam Carey. Adam is our Dynamics 365 Business Central, one of our consultants. So Adam deals with a lot of Business Central implementations, training, data migration, report writing, that kind of thing. So he's very much at the coalface in terms of implementing the product, and is a really good person to show you some of the functionality this morning. In terms of housekeeping, we're going to keep the lines on mute. We've got quite a bit to get through over the next hour or so, and it also reduces the noise interference. But if you do have any questions, you should all see the chat panel, so feel free to enter it into the chat on the GoToMeeting. But also, if you want to have a conversation offline, you can either drop us an email at sayhello@m-hance.com, give us a ring, or probably the best route is to give your account manager a call and set up a discussion where hopefully they'll be able to talk to you in a bit more detail. So, okay, so introducing Business Central. What's it all about really? So just thought I'd put together a very initial slide. So if you Google Business Central, you'll see all sorts of information about what Business Central is. And this screen here really gives you some of the stuff that you'd expect to see. So on the left-hand side, you can see a little bit about kind of, what the kind of look and feel might look like, and we'll see that shortly. And the fact that it's a kind of unified interface, so whether you're accessing the product via your desktop or your laptop, on your mobile phone or on your tablet device, you'd expect the same sort of experience, and that's really what Business Central will give you. It's a cloud-first software as a service ERP solution fundamentally. Pricing wise, with it being a SaaS product, you'll see on the right hand side here there are a number of different license types. And for a cost per user per month, you can deploy Business Central very flexibly, and this is all controlled within your Office 365 admin portal. So in terms of you guys as end users, you can administer this yourselves. You can purchase licenses all yourself, and your IT team can control that in terms of user access permissions and everything. And then at the bottom, you'll see, just a few logos really at this point, and you'll hear a lot about this in the sessions today. Office 365, integrated applications such as Power BI, Power Apps, Microsoft Azure. This is all utilizing standard Microsoft stack stuff. So, we're not trying to pull in a number of different vendor products here. This is all single vendor solutions, best of breed products using fully developed Microsoft software. So as you'll see today, a number of different sessions that we've got running. We've got sessions running across the next 2 days as well. And hopefully my job really is to try and put into context Business Central as a finance and ERP solution, but to start to give everyone a bit of a wider appreciation of how that integrates with the wider stack. So where have we come from, really? Well, Business Central, it's very new, it's very shiny, it's very kind of modern day. But actually, I thought it was worth just explaining a little bit about where Business Central has come from. And this is actually an old slide that Microsoft used when they were launching the product under the name of Dynamics 365 Tenerife. I can't unfortunately explain where they got that name from, but that's what it was back in 2016. But you'll see that Business Central as an application evolved from Dynamics NAV or NAV, which some of you may be familiar with. And that really came through the sort of Navision code base and now becomes Business Central as we know it today. So you can see here that Microsoft announced back in 2016 a plan to release 2 major versions every year with cumulative updates on a monthly basis. And we'll see how Microsoft has sort of stuck to that policy. But also, whilst it's a newer product, hopefully you'll understand an established product like NAV has been around for a long time. So the code base is actually very tried and tested. So actually it gives you the best of both in terms of it being established, but very modern day in terms of the technology that we're using behind the scenes. A little bit about kind of core finance and ERP. Well, what do you get within the Business Central box first? So as you can see here, there's a number of different areas within Business Central that you would expect to see, I think. General ledger stuff, you've got fixed assets, you've got job costing, you've got full scale, supply chain management modules, reporting, SOP, inventory, journals, all that kind of thing. And really that kind of explains that within its own sort of system itself, it's actually a very modular system. So we recommend Business Central is not just an implement and leave type system. You can grow with Business Central and the business can grow with Business Central, and you can implement these modules all part of that cost per month per user licensing model. So it's certainly a system that you can grow to as hopefully your businesses are all growing as well. And as I kind of alluded to before, it's not just an ERP system. We all know ERP and finance systems can be complex in themselves. But in terms of some of the things that Business Central also gives you is that it allows you to connect to other areas of the sort of Microsoft ecosystem. And you'll hear those words a lot over the next few days. It's a very fast system to deploy. A lot of the work is already done by Microsoft in that we can leverage it being hosted in the Azure platform and implementations become a lot quicker and a lot more agile. As I mentioned, you've got the consistent and secure experience across mobile devices and multiple platforms. And Microsoft aren't just developing Business Central on their own kit and on their own devices. If you're using an iPad or an iPhone or an Android device, Business Central has native applications to suit all of those operating systems. And without going through every single point, you can see that actually Business Central connects to a lot of the tools that hopefully you guys are already using on a day-to-day basis. And that makes it very powerful. It makes the adoption a lot easier because really from a user perspective, these are all things that people are using day in, day out right now. And I thought, of course, to sort of visualize this and without stealing any thunder that Adam's going to go through, you'll see how this is available in lots of different areas, different devices, and also in different applications such as Outlook and everything. So we're actually seeing Business Central data become real and at our fingertips as we interact with the rest of the Office suite. So that's a really good point and a real kind of unique thing that Microsoft have over a lot of the competition. So as I mentioned before, Microsoft had a policy, had a release strategy, and they've actually stuck with that really well, I think. So since we saw the first release in April 2018, we've seen releases religiously every 6 months, and they call these waves. So you'll see different wave releases that come out in that period, and Microsoft with every single wave release have released real key functionality that has really provided business benefits. So in terms of new features, interacting with a lot of the more modern things around things like artificial intelligence, that's coming at a real kind of quick rate of knots in terms of their releases. So it's really good to see Microsoft really heavily invested in Business Central as their future ERP platform. And don't expect you to be able to catch up with this, but 100+ product enhancements in the last 6 months. Now, by anyone's standards, that's a huge rate of investment. That's a huge rate of development. And actually, I think what it does is it underpins the technology that Microsoft are using underneath the bonnet. If you think about traditional ERP and finance systems, there is always a degree of risk with any type of product enhancement. And the way that Business Central is designed is that Microsoft can now roll out native development, native enhancements to the product without disrupting existing functionality. And that's a really, really kind of beneficial thing to have moving forward. And as we know with the roadmap with Business Central, it's very much in its early stages. So there's so much more to come, which we think is obviously really exciting for us as an IT partner, but also for our customers. So a little bit about progress, really, bigger picture stuff in terms of Business Central. This slide kind of explains it, I think, in a few simple bullet points. In the UK over here, I think we're in really good company. The UK is the second leading country for Business Central deployments worldwide. So, for the size of the UK, that's a really kind of important point to note. Companies that go down the Business Central route are by no means on their own. And obviously, a lot of the customers that we look after within m-hance are kind of reviewing this and thinking, is it a new product? Is it something we want to do right now? Well, Microsoft are getting that traction very quickly, and the momentum is really gathering pace. That said, a number of our customers have also got, a bit of a global presence. They might have offices in different countries, in different parts of the world. And we've got now 50 different localization features for Business Central. So it may be that you have a US office that have to deal with things like US sales tax. Business Central has that localization as well. So you can see that very quickly you can scale Business Central from a simple 1 or 2 user simple implementation all the way through to a kind of multinational, multilingual type deployment, and that's one of the really good features of Business Central. You'll also see, that stat is pretty scary. 222% increase in partners that are selling Business Central. Obviously, I have to be a bit careful how I explain this one, but there are a lot of companies now that will sell Business Central, and I think as I mentioned before, that's because it's very simple to deploy Business Central, sell the licensing associated with Business Central. I think the key though is about how you actually implement Business Central, and obviously I'll come on to that a little bit more when we get into the m-hance piece. But the global kind of nature of Business Central is really there for all to see. And you'll notice Alan mentioned it on the keynote this morning. For those of you that joined, Microsoft are also very intertwined in very verticalized initiatives, and one of the ones that we're very keen to remain a part of is around the not-for-profit and charity sector. So things like the Tech for Social Impacts scheme that Microsoft are fully committed to is another sign that Business Central kind of forms a key part of that strategy. So it's great to be at that table as well alongside Microsoft. So the Power Platform, not the last time you'll hear this mentioned today or over the next few days, really. I want to bring it kind of in the context of Business Central, because I've mentioned a bit about how Business Central is an ERP system fundamentally, but really one of the main benefits is the connectivity that it gives with a lot of the other Microsoft solutions. And this slide, I think, kind of gives you some idea of some of the other areas that it can kind of work with. We've got a number of customers that are already embracing things like Power BI for their reporting. They might have a CRM system that deals with a lot of their customer engagements. They might have it might be a bespoke application that handles very specific sets of data. Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, those three in particular can bring all of that together into a very kind of integrated system, and Business Central is fundamental to working within that environment. It's also good to mention that Business Central in itself can interact with these applications very simply and very easily. And for the technical people in the room, the days of kind of very heavy bespoke integration projects are becoming less and less. The power is very much at the end user's fingertips to use some of these tools. And from an m-hance point of view, that fully supports our strategy. We really want to empower our users to really be able to leverage a lot of this standard functionality, but also build our own products and our own services around this, which makes the flexibility of this so much more beneficial. So Business Central with m-hance, we've obviously been a Microsoft house really since day one. So, it's probably no surprise to a lot of our customers that we're now, fully embracing Business Central as a product. But for those of you that kind of know us from where we've come from an ERP perspective, Dynamics GP is a very key part of our product stack. So, why did we choose Business Central? Well, it's a Microsoft product. We know a lot of the underlying technology with Business Central, but it gives our customers that true software as a service ERP platform. So if you are looking at currently what your options are and you're using, say, Dynamics GP, Business Central is something that we're very keen to talk to you about, because it allows us to kind of have that conversation with you. And I think the power of understanding where you are today with where you want to go tomorrow, I think that's a really good view for us to have in terms of the technology that's now available. As I mentioned before, we wanted to leverage as much of the Microsoft stack as possible. We've done a lot in the past in terms of bespoke development, but the future really is around the core products that Microsoft have available. And I think for us to be able to use kind of standard software, standard applications, solving real business problems is kind of where we wanted to get to. So this gives us that platform. Lower costs. I mean, there's obviously a migration path there if you're looking at Business Central, but in terms of ongoing costs, not having to fund, every 3 or 4 years, big upgrades, deploying something like Business Central is very much more cost effective. Once you're on that platform, those days really disappear overnight in terms of big software upgrade projects. We're a lot keener to get involved in kind of incremental updates, trying to leverage the power of some of the new technology and the new functionality. And that's where really we're finding that working with our existing Business Central customers, the conversations are very much about the new features, which, let's be honest, that's a fun conversation for us all to have. It's a lot more flexible. So, the flexibility that you have there, there is app source that's available to you guys as end users. We have our third parties as well that still, very much are on the Business Central path with us. People like Jet, people like E1 Solutions with some of their technologies. They work with both our current GP customer base, but also with our Business Central products. And we've had customers that have used those products across their migration path. So again, the number of options available is pretty frightening. Enhancements wise, as mentioned, I mean, you've seen that fairly busy slide. They're coming all the time. It's a really exciting thing. It's not just new stuff as well, though. Microsoft have really tuned into the important legislative stuff. We've got really good solutions around making tax digital in Business Central as well. Both in terms of individual reporting, group VAT, that sort of stuff. It's all there in Business Central. And I think from an m-hance perspective, we've made no secret around some of our verticalized products that we've done in the past, really. And for those of you that are in not-for-profit sectors, you will see that within Business Central we've actually developed our own NFP finance suite, which aims at delivering specific functionality with specific solutions to address specific vertical issues. And I think for us, being able to develop products on the technology that we all have available to us is a really powerful thing, and again, that adds to the flexibility for you guys as our customers. So just want to focus for a few seconds really on how have we done this before. GP is obviously a product that a lot of our customers still use, and what we like to do when talking to our GP customers is around, okay, how do we take you from where you are now to where you're going to? And obviously product functionality is a key part of that. A lot of people are saying to us, what's the cloud version of GP? Well, as Matt mentioned in the previous presentation on GP, there are different deployment options with GP, but fundamentally Business Central is a different product. It's got a different chart of account structure. It's got different ways that it works. And we'll review that with you as part of a review process. And we'll not just look at what you have now, but we'll look at where you want to go, and we'll give you sort of the best advice in terms of how you might want to get there. We'll keep an open mind in terms of the ecosystem as well. What might be something that's bespoke today might be a standard functional thing that we can do tomorrow. So we'll kind of look at that with you as well. And as I mentioned before, I think one of the real benefits of having us as your incumbent partner is we know about your quirks in terms of how GP works right now. And from a data migration point of view, we can certainly get you there in terms of being able to move a lot of that information from your current system into Business Central. And as you'd expect, things like design the system, UAT, and training is something that we provide as part of that project. The other good thing that we can do is obviously, if you do migrate from something like GP, you want to keep that data, you want to keep the application there. So we can work with you in terms of the best possible option around that. So we can deploy Dynamics GP in Azure, we can keep the historical access running in a secure environment, and we can actually use tools to interrogate some of the current Business Central data with some of the historical data in GP using things like Power BI. So, we're trying to make that kind of jump as small and as manageable as possible. And of course, that's part of our role as your existing provider. And again, we're certainly kind of looking for a less bespoke type route. We're trying to keep things standard. It makes the Business Central world a lot more flexible. And actually, it's much more difficult to, in inverted commas, bespoke Business Central like you could on other applications. And that's all because Microsoft want to keep those versions running. They want to keep the updates coming, and that's obviously very important for future development. So I'm a bit short on time. So just in terms of our existing customers, this is just a quick slide to explain. We've got 3 very different organizations there, and Bolero, they're a global trade digitalization company. Graphcore manufacture machine intelligence equipment, and the New Tribes Mission are one of our not-for-profit charity organizations. So as you can see, we've developed and deployed Business Central in very different industries, but you'll see some of the words I'm highlighting there, that the trend is common. It's very much about business growth, it's very much around efficiency and being on the platform, but it's also about m-hance working with them to get them from where they are to where they want to be. And one final thing, we're shortly going to be releasing a podcast with a customer that I look after, actually. They're an organization called Terra Firma Capital Partners, and they're one of Europe's leading private equity investment companies. Now, I've worked with Terra Firma for about 3 years, and Ashley, who's the financial controller there, kind of led the project from their side. And that was a Dynamics GP to Business Central implementation where we ran through a proof of concept project with them on Business Central with their data. And as Ashley's quote says there, it's really the kind of beginning of a journey for them, and they're starting to really see the benefits of the latest technology and being able to leverage some of that benefit. So yeah, look out for that podcast, because that will be coming out hopefully in the next week or so. So that's me. Thanks for sticking with me. That's a little bit about the background of Business Central. I'm just going to hand over now to Adam, who's going to be taking you through the product.
Good morning. Right, so I'm going to give you a little run through of Business Central and give you a look and feel of the software and how the system works. So as Matt implied earlier on, it's a Office-based web system. So to access this, we are logging into our Office 365 account. I'm logged in as a test user called Reginald, but as I say, we all have access to this currently at the moment. And then what you have from your Office 365 account, your list of apps, of which one of them is Dynamics 365. I can then log on to the Dynamics 365 homepage, and Business Central is one of the modules that's available to me. This will then load into the company for me and load it onto your web page. It will work on any browser. I just have a preference for Chrome, but as I say, as you can see from the bottom of my window, I've got Edge, I've got Firefox, I've got Chrome. It works happily on all of them. What it will do is it will bring you into this area here, this homepage area, and this is very much the online look and feel of Business Central. But you'll notice from perhaps one of the slides that Matt showed earlier.
Sorry, Adam, it's Matt here. Apologies. I think it's showing your second monitor rather than your primary one. I've just noticed.
My apologies.
That's okay. We'd have had this in a live seminar, of course, so it wouldn't be an event without a slight gremlin in the system.
Let me just very quickly get rid of all of my
I see a lovely
monitors.
sunset.
can everybody see my screen now, Matt?
No, I can still see the second screen.
Okay, just bear me one more second.
Yeah, I can see that now.
My apologies. I will backtrack a little second there.
No problem.
Get rid of that monitor out of the way. The downside of having multiple monitors. So as I said, I was logged into Office 365, and from the online web page on all of my, as I say, I've got it open on Chrome. It will work on all other options, and once you open up your app menu, you have your link to Dynamics 365, which, if I open this up again, will then take you to the Dynamics homepage, of which Business Central is one of those. Once we've got that up and running, it will then load you into Business Central Online. It will log you into the last company that you logged out of. So what you would have missed straight away there from more traditional on-premise accounting systems is there's no logging window to tell me which window which company I want to log into. It's remembered the last company that I logged into. So if you do need to work your way around the system and work to other companies, it's just a case of then changing companies using the settings options at the top here. I've got the ability to sort of, as you can see from here, the look and feel of the ultimate layout of Business Central is very similar to the mobile apps that you've got. So when Matt showed a slide earlier of the phone app and the tablet app, these tile options that are available at the bottom here are very pertinent. They appear in all versions of it, so it's very uniform looking. It's not one of those apps that particularly looks very different online than it does when you've opened it up on another different platform. But you've got the basis of your whole accounting system and a modern feel to how it looks. I've got the ability to, hidden away up here behind my option is where I'm logged in. So again, I'm logged in as my domain account user. Again, I'm using Reginald Regional. He's one of our test users for our domain account here for the Save the Dodo. But ultimately, that also means that we don't have to worry about multiple user accounts to log in. I am assigning an account, a license for Business Central to my domain account. So when I log in, it's my domain account. If I'm sending transactions out of the system via email, it's my email. I don't have to worry about multiple emails. There's not that issue whereby you can kind of lock yourself out of the system because you've forgotten an email and somebody needs to reset it. It's something that's already sort of, it's almost like a single sign-on that you've got available to you. I've then got the ability to have your company logo, so it's customized slightly to look as how, to make it more personable to you as a company. But then you've got your little options that are available on here. You've got your little headlines, which will grow as the system grows. So this is obviously our test system, so there's very little in there. It said hello to me, and then it's working through the headline information that you've got. And as you start using the system more, the headlines will pop up and show you information such as, who your biggest purchases were, what items you're selling more of, if there's sort of, who your biggest sales customer was for the last period of time. It starts sort of learning this information. Microsoft are very forward thinking with what they call insights. They've got a whole section which I'm going to show you in a second with regards to insights, but there's also some functionality that sort of then expands this out of Business Central into the Microsoft products such as Outlook. But again, from this home page, I've got everywhere that I'm hovering over that you can see that appears a link line. That's a link to another window. I've got my activities that are appearing on the page. If I scroll down slightly, I've got a plethora of tiles that are here. These are showing me my outstanding purchase orders, my quotes, sales invoices and payments that are going on. So, from one view, I've got access to virtually every area of Business Central. And again, if I want to see my purchase orders at the moment, I can click on that little link there, and it will then take me through to my list of purchase orders. And again, it utilizes these list views that are available, all editable, all scrollable. I can send this information out to Excel very quickly, which I'll do shortly. But again, it's giving me information for my various transactions, who we're buying information from, and the status of that. And I've got to that just from a quick click. Although there are menu options at the top of the page, very traditional sort of accounting menu options, I don't really need to use them because there's multiple areas or ways that I can get to this information. And then again, using these insights and this business assistance, Microsoft are very much trying to make this like a one-stop. You don't need to sort of keep on necessarily bouncing out to look at other areas, running various reports. It still has that functionality to show you the reports, but it's trying to give you as much information as you need at the front of the page. So again, I've got these nice little insights that hover down the page. These are just sort of standard sort of charts and reports. I can then obviously change what area I want to see. If I change that to quarters, it'll refresh the page and show me what those are. And then I can scroll through the various charts that are available to me. A lovely little bit of functionality that exists as well as my favorite accounts. This is just a personalized view of the general ledger codes that I have a particular interest in. So again, it's telling me my total income, my expenses, showing me what's in the bank. I've got that accessible to me from the front page. And again, as I'm hovering over them, from here I can go and have a look at the nominal ledger code for my total income, or I can have a look at the balance itself so that I can see where these numbers are coming from. I can look at my bank account and see where that's coming from. Again, clicking on this, it will then open up the list view that's available for me. I can expand that window and I've got all the transactions very quickly available to me just from looking around the front page. There's also a bit of functionality whereby you can have some basic trial balance information showing through, and I've even got the ability to sort of the reporting options that are available to me. I can schedule the reports to run, and then it'll tell me in my reporting box that I've got reports that have been run and scheduled to run. The customer order summary is an example in this one here. I'll click on that. Let's come back with the report empty. It's not come back with any information. Live, as I say, with what we happened earlier on with Sharon, live options. But again, I could have various reports filtering through and coming to that. And I've also got the ability to slightly personalize this. I've moved these windows around to suit what I wanted to do. It may be that you've got some functionality on here or some information that you don't really need to worry too much about. I can make little tweaks to the system to personalize it so that it's more unique to me without actually changing any of the underlying code in the background. So we're not bespoking how the system looks. I'm just tweaking how I want the windows to look slightly and how I want the user interface to be. It's got a great little help guide at the top here. So I've got my information help, gives me my keyboard and shortcuts, and it gives me some help and support. And again, this window is very similar to some of the other help guides that you've got. It's an online help guide. It knows which window I'm looking at. It knows where I am. And if I click on that, it will open up a window to Microsoft Documents to show me where I am and what I'm looking for. From this window as well, this also gives you access to the community. I mean, obviously, what you're finding now with accounting systems and CRM systems is there's online communities. We all join those. There's online blogs. You can all access those from here. And the communities might be sort of just conversations between like-minded finance people, with regards to year-end processes or, HMRC making tax digital. And it also gives you a little preview of what's coming in the latest versions. As Matt stated earlier, this software as a service functionality that Business Central provides you with, you are told in advance when the system's going to be updating. So you're given a window of opportunity to sort of pause this slightly, but within a short time frame at certain times of the year, in April and October, Business Central will upgrade. And it'll tell you here what's going to change and what new features are going to be coming as well. And following on from years of being a consultant and going out on site, and customers saying, "It'd be really nice if the accounting system can do this," and is there any way that you can ask Microsoft if they can add this as a product suggestion? Well, of course, we still can do that, but you can also do this yourself. You can click on the Business Central Ideas window or link here, and this will take you to the Microsoft website that will effectively let you put in a product suggestion, and it will look to see if there's one already exists, and if there's one that already exists, you can vote for it. Or you can put in something that's that you think would be a really good idea for the accounting system in the region that you're in, and Microsoft will look at that and update it themselves to say what they're looking at. I won't log into it because it opens up a number of web pages and wants you to log in, but it's kind of giving you as an end user a little bit of, I suppose, control as to, or not control, but it's allowing you to be involved in where the product's going. And from personal experience of using Business Central over the last few years, there are some options in there that I've gone in and added, and I've gone in and voted for, that have actually become, you've seen other people have had the same thought process that you have, and have gone in and added that through for you. I was saying about the fact that it logs you into the company you're logged into. I've got the ability to open up this little cog here and change the company. So this is the company login window. So again, it's telling me the work date. It's automatically looking at this. For finance users, if this was the start of a month, I can go in, I can tell it that I'm still working in the previous month. It's also got a kind of number of regional language and time zone settings that it can utilize without then going in and sort of logging into the different companies that I've got available to me. What I can also do here is I can change the user interface somewhat, so it can become slightly more of an account, more traditional accounting system. This is very much a web browser with tablets, but I can, in this window, go in, and there are a number of views that are available that you can assign to them. I'll pick on the finance user because I had a client that was utilizing Business Central. It's refreshing as we use the system. It's just quickly updating the page, and I had a client with a couple of users that preferred this view, because what this did is this turned this into a more traditional looking accounting system that they were used to. So again, you've got your different sub ledgers, and then you've got all of the options that are available to you, and all the little drop down menus. So they weren't happy with moving around the system. They wanted a more they wanted a user interface that they could utilize, that could make it feel more like an accounting system to them, get them a bit more familiarity with it. I'm just going to quickly bounce back to the other one, because obviously what you lose with that is then you lose this nice modern functionality, these online dashboards and some of the sort of interactive flexibility that it comes with. But again, as you can see here, I've just very quickly changed the user interface. It's taken seconds to change that over. It's bounced that back for me. And to an extent, as far as an end user is concerned, I still have the ability to see here my sort of financial ledgers. The options that are available to me are here. But again, I was saying earlier about not really needing to utilize these windows. They're quite useful to go for. From my homepage, I've got access to the various windows anyway, but it has this fantastic search option that's up here, this little lookup, which is an overall view. So for the chart, as an example here, I can put in that I want to post a journal. And it's gone off and it's found everything within Business Central that involves being a journal. I've got pages and tasks. There's 42 different types of journals. There's reporting and analysis that I can go to. There's even documentation that it can take me to, and all of that just by looking at that. And as you'll notice as well, as a search option, I've not put in job space journals. It's looked to see where the word journal appears in something, and it's utilized that. So you're tending to find that as you're using the system more, the menu options that we've been used to in accounting systems become a little bit more redundant, because you're using this search icon. We use these all the time in other apps that we use when we're using our phones and when we're using websites. We don't necessarily go looking around menu options. We go to the lookup, and we want to get to where we're going to straight away. So you've got that nice view that's available to you. And I mentioned about the cloud insights, again, the intelligent cloud insights. So this is using Cortana, the user interface that Business Central and Microsoft utilize. Again, I've just opened this little window. It's a web page. I can open these in individual windows, or I can just stack them up on top of each other as a web page. I can expand that to see more information. And again, I've got the ability to add a couple of Power BI reports that Power BI have written that just come in to give me a few more dashboards, a bit similar to the charts that are available at the end. I've got Azure forecasting, which is looking again at the numbers that are going into the system that have been set up. And again, I also have the ability to change what it's looking at, what kind of periods of time I'm looking at with that. I'm going to change that. It's going to update my figures. It's very, very dashboard. It's very interactive. And the idea being behind this is it's trying to give you an insight as to where the system is, rather than Microsoft used, I remember at a conference about a year or so ago, they used a nice phrase in that historically, if you look at an accounting system to find out what's gone on in the past, it's a record of what's happened. And what they're trying to do with Business Central is turn it into a system that will kind of give you that information, but kind of also try and give you some insights about where you should be going. So here it's giving me insights as to who's late paying me, who I'm late paying. I mean, obviously this is a test system, so I'm not paying anybody at the moment. But the idea is these insights learn more about how your system works and gives you more information that's more useful for you. just going to close back to the home page, and you'll tend to find over time that these little headlines become more and more apparent. But again, I've got actions on here that I can just go through and utilize very quickly. Clicking into the general ledger, I'm going to go to my chart of accounts. This is everything of the accounting system works from the chart of accounts. This is the key building block for your accounting system, and it's sort of broken into two parts. You've got your traditional general ledger code, and I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to pin that open so you can see the other options. Stay at the top of the page. And you'll notice here that some of you maybe have come from more traditional accounting systems that have got an account code, and then you might need projects, you may need departments. So your account code can become quite in depth and encumbered, and ultimately very large. So what it's got is it's got this combination of general ledger codes and accounting dimensions. So these are your analysis dimensions that are available to you. So my chart of accounts can be quite light. I've got a handful of income codes, a handful of cost center codes and expense codes. They're all that I need to have in the system. Again, I've got this great search functionality that exists for me. So again, here I can type into here rent, and it'll go off and it'll find me everything with the word rent in it. As an example. So it's and again, this isn't just looking at a whole word. It's a very good search icon. So again, you're not really, there's account codes here. So but I don't need to worry about remembering what account code the rent code is. I can just type it in here, it'll go off and find it. There's no search to say, well, I want to do a search by account number and then start putting in numbers. It's just, it'll find anything that's available for me. If I start typing in nominal ledger codes, it'll again start filtering them out for me. I can't say enough about this search functionality. It's absolutely fantastic, and it just saves you so much time, because I've worked, back in, I suppose, in a different life as an end user in an accounting system, and I can remember scrolling up and down windows looking for account codes all the time. Since I've been using Business Central, I don't search. I don't scroll up and down looking for anything. I just start typing in words. And again, even to the fact that when I'm utilizing the system to sort of do transactions, so for instance, I don't even type in general journals. I just start abbreviating words. It's finding them for me. I don't, I'm almost creating my own little semi-accounting language for me to use within Business Central, so that I'm not sit there sort of doing long-winded searches. But this window as well is acting as an area that I can sort of utilize as an inquiry window. It's giving me information for my accounts on the accounts. I don't need to go to an area of the system that tells me how the account's made up, and then to another area of the system to tell me what the current balance is. If I want to see, if I go down to let's go down and have a look at some of the income options that are available to me. I've got £5,000 going to professional fees. I can click on the balance here, and that will take me in to the navigation lists that we were looking at, the general ledger entries. I can have a look and see where all of this has been posted to. I've got the ability to see what's been posted in, what values have been posted in. I've got this functionality that's available to me. I can go back, I can look at the account itself, just to have a quick look at that. And again, from this window, I've got the ability to sort of run reports against this account on its own. I can run a trial balance from the account card window. I don't need to go off to a menu option to say, well, I need to go to reports, trial balance, and then start putting in various bits of information. And again, I've got this, the inquiry ability of this system is quite first class. And I've also got the ability from this option here to sort of send this information. These lists can be opened in Excel very quickly. I won't put this one in because it's quite a long-winded list, but that's the functionality that's available to it. I've got my grouping of accounts that I can utilize, whereby I'm looking at the current chart of accounts. And again, this is acting as an inquiry for me. I'm telling it how I want all of my accounts to sit. I mean, this is to all intensive purposes. I just minimize that window out the way there to change the view. This is almost a little inquiry window of my balance sheet and profit and loss, because it's showing me all the information that I need in the window that's got available to me. And this might be a nice report that I can then send out to Excel. So I'll just open this one in Excel. It's an online web page, so again, it's never going to open the system for you. It's going to go into your downloads folder and then give you the ability to open that spreadsheet. Excel opens up. I enable my editing, and then very quickly it's nicely formatted the information for me into Excel. I've got it then. I don't need to sit there and format it. It's brought it in. It's working out the numbers. It's put it in a table for me. We're all, for the finance people that are in the in the meeting, this kind of functionality is great. I'm not having to sort of sit there and spend 2 or 3 minutes in Excel formatting information. Close that one there. There was another option that was available when I went onto there, which is called Edit in Excel. I'm not going to sort of go into too much detail, but the idea being is that I can send this information out into the system. So it might be a list of account codes that I want to change, or it could be that I want to update sales ledger account classes, customer groups. I can send that out to Excel. I can make the change in Excel and I can publish it back. And that's just a free, very quick use of sending the information out into Excel, making the changes to it and sending it back in. So you've got that functionality that's available to you quite quickly. Again, you've got these accounting dimensions that I mentioned, because at the moment we've just been looking at the general ledger codes. So these are the analysis dimensions that exist. You can have up to 8. We've got four in our system. But the nice thing is with my events as an example, with this as a test charity, so I can go in and I can see which events that we've got set up in the system. So from here, these are all of the events that are set up. So if I need to create a new event, I can just go to the bottom of the list and I can add a new event, and then it's available, literally 2 clicks, and it's then available to be used within transactions across the system to work my way through that. Again, I can send this out to Excel. If you were at the start of the year putting in a number of campaigns, let's go and have a look at the campaigns. Very quickly, these are the campaigns that our system's got here. If you're creating a number of campaigns for the year or projects, again, I can send this out to edit in Excel. I can add the details in and I can import it back in very quickly. I don't have to sit there creating a number of new accounts to sit there. Once these are all available to me, I can then go in and process my transactions. I've got a list of general journals that I can batch together. So I've got, as I say, these list of journals that I can utilize that I can then bring into the system. And if I just quickly show you one of the journal layouts, I'll hide that little window out of the way. Again, it's a very modern feel that you've got looking at the chart of accounts. I've got my list of account codes. And again, it's bringing me this list up here, but I'm going to pick on rent because it's there. I've not even looked to see what the account code is. I've just gone in and found that. Multi-currency. I've got different currencies that are available to me. So this might be a euro transaction. I can then go down. That's my 1,000 euros. Business Central's already worked out the local currency for me because I've got the multi-currency system set up to automatically update this for me. If I don't necessarily agree with that value, I can go back to the rate and I can ask it where the rate is picking that up from. And it's telling me that, based upon my exchange rate, it's picking that up. And I can sit there and think to myself, well, where is it getting the currency exchange rate from? So I'm still in the middle of a journal. If I go to my currencies, it'll give me my list of currencies that are available to me. And I'm obviously posting a euro one. I can click on the exchange rate and it'll tell me, well, these are the reasons why you've got your currencies, this is the reason why the currency is as it is. And you'll notice that my currencies seem to be updating themselves on the basis of each week. So I've got the system set up to automatically go out and utilize a currency exchange service, and it's updating my currencies for me. I could do that daily if I wanted to. For the purposes of the test system, I've just got it updating once a week. It's going out, it's picking up currencies, and it's bringing them in for me. So I don't even need to worry about, once that's up and running, I don't even need to worry about the currencies. And if I want to override them, I can just come into here and change it there. And then utilizing this functionality, I've got the ability to sort of add my funds, my analysis codes to them. So again, from here, I can default through these dimensions to certain account codes, so I don't need to worry about them. I can also make them mandatory. So if it doesn't have a default code, it won't let me post a transaction because I haven't assigned a department to it, or I haven't signed a campaign or a fund code to it. These dimensions can be sort of user defined to be whatever you need them to be. And the system won't let me post this without that. And you'll notice this journal window looks quite strange. It's got this balancing entry, so I don't even need to put a second line in. I can balance the general ledger straight out here to another account code and then post that transaction down. I've got the ability to have recurring journals, which we'll very quickly look at. So I've got recurring general journals. I did a bit of a Blue Peter moment earlier and sort of set this one up for you earlier. So again, I've got a fixed journal that's going to be posted every month for my rent. It's coming directly out of my bank account. We've clearly got nice cheap rent that's going on where I work. And then I'm allocating this out to my rent code, but I'm also then analyzing this further out by my departments. So again, I'm allocating costs. I could do this by, we were having a conversation with one of my colleagues the other day, I could do this by employee count. I could just, instead of putting a percentage as I've done there, I could just add in employee numbers or as an allocation number, and it will start updating the codes for me. Post those all down. And then when I can post that down, I can print the report off. I'm just going to post that. Post the journal into the system. It's posted my journal. Because I've asked this to be a fixed one, it's kept it in there. It knows all of the postings, and it's moved it on to the end of October for me. So again, you've got really nice functionality to utilize these recurring journals. With the report functionality that exists, it's got standard reports, your trial balances, your detailed trial balances. There are a number of reports that you can utilize. There's a number of reports from the homepage that you can also pick up. I've got a number of financial statements. I can run income statements. I can run a balance sheet. I've got some Excel reports that I can run. So these basically just open up in Excel and I can refresh them from an Excel spreadsheet. But you've also got use of Power BI. So I'm not going to jump too much on my colleague Dan's toes at the moment, but we've got a Power BI suite, which Dan is going to show you later, just opening up here. So again, here we are looking at all the information that's coming through. So this is my list of creditors. I'm looking at my list of accounts and my reports that are coming out. So again, all of these sort of numbers that we're just posting into those, they're my funds, they're my different account categories. Again, I think my colleague Dan's got a presentation at 2:15, so let's say that he'll go into much more detail looking at that. And there's something a little bit nice, a little bit different. So I'm logged into the accounting system, but let's just pretend that I'm not logged into the accounting system yet. I've just turned up to work. And I've logged into my emails, as we all do, and I notice here that my doppelganger has emailed me because he's got an outstanding payment that he needs to look at. So again, just pretend that I haven't got round to logging into Business Central as of yet. So it's telling me here that I'm just, I'm chasing Reg for a payment. We've got this link with Office 365. I can go to more actions, and Business Central has a little add-in to Office where I can go and have a look at the contact insights. And then this is going to open up a little link to Business Central. And what this is now doing is from Outlook, and theoretically I could be on my tablet looking at this. It's telling me that I'm chasing up a payment of an award. So there's an outstanding balance here. So if I look at the outstanding balance, it's telling me there's an invoice that's outstanding. And again, this window is very condensed down, but I can scroll across. This is the view that you would get from Business Central. And I know at the end, there's a little area that's telling me that, oh, it's on hold. Okay, so there's a reason why that's not been paid. So let's just bounce back. Well, there's a document attachment that's on there. So it's telling me that there's some information that's available to it, that's available, and that's looking on, to see what is happening with that sort of option there. I can sort of look at the information to find out whether or not there is one from there. I also noticed that there was an invoice from Matt. He's wanting to buy something off me, which is quite nice. So again, I can open up, not having logged into Business Central yet, I can open up his email, and he wants to buy some Dodo paraphernalia from us. So again, I can look at the Business Central contact insights that are available to me. And it's gone off and it's found, what we'll find very quickly, hopefully, it's found that Matt works at m-hance. And he wants a quote for some flight of the Dodos. So from Office, I'm not again logged into the accounting system. I can go into here and I can add a new sales quote. And it's gone and it's read my email to try and find out what it is. It's not quite worked out exactly what I found, because we've obviously got lots of options that are about that, but I can sit there and it's gone off and it's found that I've got some options that are available to me. But I could obviously go into here and change what it's looking at these are the different items that exist within my accounting system. And he wanted flight of the Dodo, so he wants that one there. So we'll delete that line up there because we don't want that. He wants flight of the Dodo. He wants 100 of those. I want you to delete that line. That's brilliant. So from my Outlook system, I can just put in there Matt quote from Matt Peace. it's giving me a little update as to where it's going to be. It's looking at our Business Central to see what that is. And if I wanted to, well, let's give that a 5% discount. And I can, from here, allocate where I need to, and I can send the document to Matt from business, from Outlook, without actually having to sort of log into Business Central straight away. So you've got this connectivity that exists within Office Outlook. And if I sort of bounce into the accounting system, look at the purchase ledger, well, we were looking at our supplier. So there was an award for my doppelganger Adam. There he is. There's my £299.50. And I can see that there's an attachment on his account, and it might just be, well, what's the problem with this invoice? Why can't it, why isn't there anything in here? So I can go and have a look at that. Oh, there's a note. Oh, there's no bank details. That's the reason why we've not paid him. I can then go in and I can then process that from here. And with regards to the information that's gone through to the sales ledger, let's go and have a look at my list of customers. And let's search for m-hance. There's m-hance. I'm clicking on that link here. I've got this little information box that's available to me to tell me all the ongoing sales quotes and orders that are available to me and the history of that account. Let's click into that. I still get that information for me when it pops up, refreshes my page, shows me my account. Oh, there's Matt. We've got a picture of him on the page just so we know who we're dealing with. And again, I can go in and I can have a look at the sales quotes that are popping away through the system. And then that way I can sit there, but there's a quote from that piece that's popped into the system that, as I say, we can utilize and work our way through to that. With regards to that invoice from Adam, if I needed to, we can add the payments into there. I can then go into the cash management window, do a payment journal out. Once the details are sorted out, I could sit there, create my payment journals out of the system. And we've got an area that we've added into the system for the EFT export. So it already knows it's got to export a text file for me in the format that we need that we can utilize. I can go off and I can find, get my customer. I can go and have a look and see if there's any transactions. Oh, there's that £200. Well, there's no bank details. So perhaps we're going to send a check to him. So instead of paying it by backs, I might change this so that it's not a backs payment, but the payment type is going to be a check. We get the check posted into the system and get it sent out. And again, I can print that check out if I want to. And very quickly, there was a question that came up earlier, just to sort of finish off, because I think we're quite close to the end of the time. There was a question that popped up with regards to VAT, HMRC, Making Tax Digital. So you've got a number of these service connections. These are a bit like the marketplace on your Android or the Apple marketplace. These are extensions and apps that are available to you. So you've obviously got the ability to add other modules to the system. HMRC is one of them, so the HMRC VAT setup. If I click on that little link there, it'll take me into the HMRC window, to the Government Gateway web page, and then I follow the process through to connect up Business Central so that it's it's got the authority to digitally send my VAT returns back into back up to HMRC. And in the latest wave of a release, as Matt was saying earlier, you've got group VAT. So if you've got multiple companies, you've now got the ability to sort of run group VAT. Float rates, there's my little add-in for my currency updates. We've got some UK postcode service. So when we're setting up suppliers, if I've got that switched on and I'm in my sales ledger customer accounts and I'm adding a new one, I'll just dip into the first account that I've got. When that information is switched on, when I'm adding in my supplier details, when I'm adding a new customer, it's having a little bit of a slow moment. When I come down to my address field, I can put in a postcode, it'll go off and it'll do a search, and then it'll come back and tell you that that postcode exists with that customer. one of those other menu options that was available, which was the VAT registration. There's a VAT registration lookup. I can put in the VAT registration. It will go off and it will utilize the EU VAT registration validation service, and it will come back and tell you that, oh, that VAT registration number is assigned to this customer, and it can then populate the details from the VAT registration service for you. So again, you've got all of these little bits of functionality that you can sort of set up and utilize within there. I'd say that was quite a whistle-stop tour of how it looks and feels, but hopefully that's given you a bit of food for thought as to how the accounting system could be useful and how it can work for you. And again, as Matt as put up earlier on the thing, we've obviously got the email addresses that you can contact both myself and Matt on, and the say hello at m-hance.com. And I'm going to just let Matt come back to sort of close off.
Thanks for that, Adam, and yeah, thanks for the 5% discount. I'll make sure I'll take you up on that, or I perhaps should call you Reginald. I'm not too sure, but yeah, just really thanks everybody for attending. I mean, hopefully that's given you a good understanding of what Business Central is, an idea of what it can do. As Adam said, you know, we're really just only scratching the surface there. There's so much more that we could show you, but I think, you know, hopefully you've seen how enthusiastic we are about the product, and certainly m-hance are in terms of, you know, bringing this out to our customers and to people that want to talk to us, really. So, you know, do get in touch. We'd be really grateful for any feedback about the session, and of course, hopefully, you know, if you go onto our website under our event area, you'll see there's lots of other sessions running over the next couple of days, and a lot of this, as you'll probably start to see straight away, is starting to very closely integrate with each other. So hopefully you'll get some value from the other sessions. So once again, thanks everyone for attending, and we look forward to catching up with you again shortly. Thank you.